All right, guys, doing a battery replacement on a 2016 Ford Escape. Battery is buried under the windshield shroud there. So first thing you do is, I already pulled the cover off. Pull the cover off the battery, mass airflow sensor, disconnect that. There is a flathead right there for the hose on the breather, or the air box. You have to disconnect that right there. This rubber comes off. These two bolts for the brake fluid reservoir do come out. Those are T25 Torx. So I'm gonna loosen all this up, get this off, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, so got the brake fluid reservoir off to the side there. It's just a two T25 Torx. Got this loosened up. Just go ahead and pull that free. Got this rubber flap up. Got the plug off here. Next step, this whole air box pulls right out. So I'm gonna go ahead and yank this out, and I'll be right back. All right, so got the air box out. Basically just pulls right out. There's 1, 2, 3 little holes that these plastic grommets go into, but just a little bit of wiggling and force, it'll pull straight out. Next step, we got to pull this hold down off. So I highly recommend a ratcheting wrench for this. Electric one helps a lot, but you can do it with a shallow 10mm socket and a ratchet, but just a lot easier if you have the right tools. So all right, I'm gonna bust those loose and I'll show you what's next. All right, so I got this nut removed and this nut removed, both 10mm. Now this hold down bracket pop right off. Set it up here out of the way. Next step, go ahead and disconnect your positive lead right there. Pull that off. Now you kind of, for this right here, you just have to pull up, and it's hard to do with one hand. Separate it up. Sorry, throwing my phone. Pull that up and push, either side out slightly. You may have to do that, but it should wiggle out, and then that can kind of fold down there and rest. Then you can slide your battery out. There is, I forgot to mention this, there is the negative leads right here. They have a groove that they sit on that box. Really hard to tell. That will have to come above that. And there's a sensor that plugs in to the negative terminal as well. There's two lead wires right there. You kind of have to free those up. They sit in a notch. So pull those out, and then you can slide this battery out. And oh, look at that. Typical for these cars to be very corroded on that post. I think it's just the tension that's on that negative lead causes that battery terminal to crack a lot. So, but we'll try to get this off and loosen that up. Sometimes they come right off, sometimes they're a pain. So. All right, I couldn't do that with one hand, so I had to set my phone down. But basically what I did was, after I loosened that nut, just kind of twist on it while you pull up off of the post, and it did come free for me fairly easily with two hands. So there's a little tip for that. Now I'm going to clean this up with a wire brush, and then throw everything back together. All right, got that terminal cleaned up a little bit, and got the battery back in here. Got that on. Tighten this back up, and now we're gonna slide the battery back in, and you're gonna want to make sure these wires go back in that groove so the cover can slide back on. Kind of hard to see but there's a little notch right there. And next, slide this cover back in here. Make sure those notches line up good tight. Slide that back on. Tighten that up. Put our hold down bracket back on. And two 10mm nuts back on here. One and two. Just make sure the plastic pieces line up here. Throw that back in. I need both hands though, so. Alright, air box back in location. Forget your mass airflow sensor. That just pops right over. And tighten that back up. And then we just matter of throwing that back on with your two torx and the cover back on the battery, and you're all set.